Hello and welcome again to Casual Magic. Today I want to give you my top 9 cards that I'm looking forward to out of the first half of Kaladesh spoilers. Why only 9? Because my computer's already lost the audio twice and I don't have time for 10. Let's go. Coming at number 9, Torrential Gear Hulk. It's 4 of anything and 2 blue for a 5/6 flash creature. The main thing about this is when you cast it, you can also cast a target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Never underestimate a blue player being able to dig out some sort of vitally important instant spell, especially late in the game. It's part of the reason why Baby Jace was so effective, being able to dig out an instant or sorcery. Now granted, this can't get out of sorcery, but it's still going to see some play and be useful. For number 8, Girapur Orrery, 4 of anything for an artifact. Cool thing about this is you can put an extra land into play, but if a player has no cards in hand during their upkeep, then that player draws 3 cards. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It seems more of a red type thing, but it's, it's an artifact. Should be fun in Commander, though, because you'll definitely see some sort of interesting dynamics where you're sitting back going, oh, this person's going to get 3 cards, but I can play an additional land. Do I go ahead and destroy it, or do I leave it in? What do I do? Definitely should be humorous. Number 7, I would say Shrewd Negotiation. To be honest, if you can pick up this card, get it. Get a lot. It's 4 of anything and a blue for a sorcery. Exchange control of target artifact you control and target artifact or creature you don't control. The main thing on that card is target artifact or creature. So sure, it's late in the game and you want to get a Blightsteel Colossus and you swap your Soul Ring for it. Sure, that can happen. But it also is for a creature. So that could suddenly mean that you have something like your Darksteel Relic, which is just sitting out there doing nothing as an artifact that's waiting to be sacrificed anyway. And you can go, oh, I want to get one of those giant dragons. Great, there you go. So having that flexibility of being able to pick an artifact or a creature, fantastic. It definitely makes this an excellent, excellent uncommon card. In my opinion, should probably be rare. Maybe they just increase the cost of casting it rather than bump it up to a rare. But if you can pick them up, pick them up. It's a great card. Number 6, Lost Legacy. 1 and 2 black for sorcery. Name a non-artifact, non-land card. Search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards that name and exile them. That player shuffles his or her library, then draws a card for each card exiled from hand this way. The main thing about this is going into game 2 or game 3 where you know the bombs in that person's hand. This is a great card. That way you know, oh, they're going to cast Liliana. Oh, they're going to cast Tamiyo. Oh, they're going to cast Chandra. Something like that. You can just play this card on turn 3. Boom. Problem solved. I'm sure they get to draw some replacement cards, but it's a huge help being able to just take those cards out of play and let them squirm to figure out some sort of new strategy. Number 5, Incendiary Sabotage. 2 and 2 red for an instant. Main thing, sacrifice an artifact, deals 3 damage to each creature. The cool thing about this is it's a somewhat limited board wipe. It's not exactly languish to do 4 points of damage to everyone. Well, not 4 points of damage, but make everything -4/-4. But there are so few board wipes right now in a limited environment. This should see quite a bit of play to at least get rid of, let's say for an example, Spirit's deck. There's a bunch of stuff in there that are just tiny little flyers. Not to mention part of the reason why Liliana is so powerful right now is that she has an ability to give something -2/-1 until the end of turn. So being able to come out and just do 3 points of damage to everything, definitely a lot of use, and it's going to see a lot of play. And yeah, you have to sacrifice an artifact, but in Kaladesh, there seems to be just non-stop artifacts coming out from every single direction, so it should be absolutely no trouble to sacrifice an artifact. Coming in at number 4, probably one of my favorite red cards out of this whole set, Madcap Experiment. It is so red. 3 of anything and a red for sorcery. You reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card into the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Madcap Experiment deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. So what you're doing is spending 4 mana to cheat an artifact into play, which you might hope for something like a Blightsteel Colossus or something that you actually desperately need in that situation. And yeah, it does a bunch of damage to you. So there are those certain type of situations where you might end up killing yourself because of this card, because it just does enough damage and you can't find an artifact fast enough. And surprise, 20 points of damage, you're done. But in EDH, if you have the right type of deck where, let's say, you have a bomb like Blightsteel, that you have it and another, let's say, 4 or 5 kind of key artifacts sitting there that you know that you're only going to have to dig down maybe 10 or 15 cards. If you have 40 life, even partway through a game, let's say you have 30 life left, and you're able to spend 4 mana to cast a spell, do 15 points of damage yourself, and get to cast some sort of giant artifact game over card for nearly free at that point. So that way you could get out something huge for 4 mana plus a little bit of life. Fine, you'll do it. I mean, just guaranteed every time. But it also gets back to the fact that you need to shuffle. That's always a reminder. Always shuffle properly. Don't get mana screwed, or in this case, get artifact screwed. Moving on. Number 3, Rashmi Eternity's Crafter. 2 of anything, a green and blue, 2/3 Elf Druid. Whenever you cast first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that spell's, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it in your hand. So, at the worst, you're getting card draw. But to be honest, as you progress in the game and you keep going on, you're going to be casting things that's just successively bigger. You're going to be casting something that's 4. It's going to be 5, and on and on. And for this card, you can basically cheat something out into play that's smaller, and worst case, and you're not able to cast it, then you can just put it into your hand. So you're going to get out things for free, or you're going to get card draw, both of which are very huge. And to be honest, in a game, if you're playing against an opponent who has Rashmi, and you're sitting there partway through the game and you maybe have 2 or 3 cards in your hand, and you kind of have your board state and you're hoping to get something good, but in the meantime, they're just sitting there putting out little creatures, and they could be chump blockers. They could be things that have some sort of extra ability that have some way to help them. It could be putting out some sort of vehicle that's just sitting out there waiting to be piloted by something else, or getting out some sort of small creature that's able to pilot that vehicle that they so desperately are waiting to get. They can build up their board state so quickly, or if all else fails, they're able to build up their hand so quickly. So that way, at some point late in the game, you're sitting there with 2 cards, and your opponent with Rashmi is sitting there with 5 or maybe 6 cards. That type of advantage is huge. Board state plus card draw. This card is excellent. As a mythic, it's going to see a lot of play. I don't know if it's necessarily going to win everything, but it's definitely going to see a lot of play. It's a very, very good card. Moving on to number 2, Aetherflux Reservoir. 4 of anything for an artifact. It's mainly an EDH card. As far as a limited game, let's say I'm just playing, a draft and I've got 20 life, sure. Whenever you cast a spell, if I'm reading it for you, you gain 1 life for each spell and you've cast this turn. Alright, so you gain life per spell. Alright, that's completely fine. But if you're playing in a game where you've got 20 life, the second thing doesn't quite apply. Pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. That's the point where things kind of get broken. Because if you're playing in Commander, where you already start off with 40 life, if you have a life gain deck, like let's say I throw this into my Trostani deck or my Loro deck, getting to 50 life is no problem. Getting well over 50 life is no problem. And I've seen some people put down these crazy combos where suddenly they have infinite creatures, and each time a creature comes into play, they gain a life. Therefore, they have infinite creatures and infinite life. Well, if you have infinite life, congratulations. You can pay 50 life to do 50 points of damage repeatedly. This isn't tap Aetherflux Reservoir. This isn't sacrifice Aetherflux Reservoir. This is just you pay 50 life, period, it does 50 points worth of damage, and you can do that repeatedly. So if you have infinite life, that's it, game over. You can just pretty much blow everything away unless someone has an answer for it. So this is going to be so much fun in EDH. I'm just dying to get this card. It's going to be so much fun. And finally, number one, the card that I'm looking forward to the most, naturally, Chandra, Tortured Defiance. And I just need to read through the card. It is insane. 2 of anything and 2 red. The first +1, exile the top card of your library, you may cast that card. If you don't, Chandra deals 2 damage to each opponent. So that gets you some card draw. It's not necessarily drawing into your hand, but at least you can get it, you can cast it, and worst case, if you can't, then it's doing 2 damage to each opponent, which is especially good in a multiplayer game just to try and slowly ping away at everyone. Second +1, you get 2 red mana to your mana pool. That's great, considering that even if you want to get her out early on, you have to spend 4 mana to get out, and you can immediately get the 2 red mana back again, basically making it a net 2 cost to get out a Planeswalker with Loyalty 4 and 4 different abilities. That's nuts in itself. The -3, it's decent. Deals 4 damage to target creature. It's somewhat useful. There's a bunch of stuff out there that, you know, just a lightning bolt isn't good enough, so why not make it a little bit better and do 4 points of damage instead of 3? Okay, sure. That's fair. -7, though, that is crazy. You get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. So for anyone who's got a burn deck with a lot of cheap spells, or one of those storm decks where you can just kind of keep going off and casting spell after spell, congratulations. If you have that emblem to go with it, you're dealing 5 points of damage for every single spell, and things are going to get out of control very, very quickly. So this is, in my opinion, the best card in the set. It's got a lot of flexibility depending on the situations. It's reasonably costed for mana. It's just going to be great. And I understand why, as far as the cost of it for for the week or so. No, it's actually 2 weeks basically before pre-release. Why this thing is so expensive, because pretty much any deck that has red is going to want to put this in it. And to be honest, I think it's good, because there have been so many times now that you've seen Chandra cards come out, and you just think, oh, that's the 5th best Planewalker of this set, or that's the 4th best Planewalker of this set. No, finally R&D got together and they said, we're going to Chandra's home plane. She needs the best card. Period. Let's figure it out. And to be honest, I think they hit a home run with this card. It's fantastic. It's going to see a lot of play. It's going to be great for EDH, in my opinion, as well. As far as anyone who has a Super Friends EDH deck, this is basically an auto-include. So those are my opinions, anyway, of cards that I'm looking forward to. Do you think I'm crazy for not having any other Planeswalker in it? Are you surprised to see that I don't have any vehicles in it? Let me know. Just send me something in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. And as always, you can like and subscribe. Helps out my channel. So until next time, good luck.